We're more flexible with the hearings. Less rigid.
So it's about 5:30, maybe 5:31 or something. It's tonight is February the 7th already. So I'm going to call to order the public hearing. This is a public hearing about the Yellow Barn Business Accelerator Gateway Project, and the point is to update the town and anybody else who's interested in the project, specifically as it relates to Vermont Community Development Program Implementation Grant. The next cycle is coming up. We're coming up for review next week, right? Tuesday. So this is just to update anyone who's interested, and we have some folks here, which is great, and we have John Jewett and Allison Lowe here to talk about the project, and we have other interested parties as well, so let's roll. John
Jewett.
John Jewett. Show us the pictures.
Yeah, somebody show us pictures.
There we go.
Over here. There you go. I'm sure there's a lot of people out in TV land that would be really interested in finding out what the site plan would look like. And I've had a few people actually ask me, and they said, well, where is the new building going to go as compared to where the old barn is? And if Leaf has this kind of zeroed in appropriately, this is my good side. Doug took a picture of me. It was a really bad side, and it's in the paper. Anyway, this is the build-out property, dilution, and this right here is the Yellow Barn property, or the Yellow Barn itself, and then this is the build-out of the accelerator.
So that's more or less where the parts cars and things used to be.
Right.
Yep.
It's like in the big parking lot there.
In the back.
So, any questions about that? This is just, there's a little bit of discussion about this. One of the discussions is that we're working with V-Trans right now to get highway access, and for people who know that site, this whole area right now is all highway access. It's like, a quarter-mile highway access, and V-Trans has notified us that they would prefer that we only have one access point, but we have trucks going in and out and backing in. It did work out really well to have two access points, so we may push that a little bit to see how far we can go to get two access points to make it a little bit more appropriate. The other concern V-Trans has, they want to know where the water's going to go from the buildings and everything, so we have to kind of demonstrate to them that the water's going to go away from the road and probably down towards the wetland area. And then, as last time we were here, we talked about the discharge. Danny got this all messed up.
Got the poke bear, Don.
There's going to be a constructed swale here that allows the stormwater to move from these buildings in this area here down along inside the road right away, which is totally appropriate. You can do that. And since the Lumella River is fairly large and has a large ability to incorporate stormwater at this point because we're at the head end, we can discharge directly into the Lamoille because we own property all the way to the end. The town does. Or the town will. Right now the town doesn't, but it will. All the way to the end. So they can discharge with just, the swale is the whole treatment. And what the swale is intended to do is allow the water to percolate into the ground and to move through the ground into the wetland as opposed to running directly into the wetland or running directly into the river. So for the most part, a lot of this water is going to be attenuated right in this area here as opposed to running into the river. So that's our stormwater treatment. For all those people who are very interested in what the building might look like, essentially this is what the build-out building will look like. This is as compared to the Yellow Barn. You can see this is substantially bigger than the Yellow Barn. This building is what, about around 24,000 square feet, and the Yellow Barn's around 4,000 square feet, a little bit, just right around 4,000. And this will be an above-ground cave section here, which will house Jasper Hill cheese. And at this point, we're talking with BMA about having a bakery in this area here. And you notice that there's solar panels up here, and one of the plans is to put solar panels here to help offset some of the electrical costs of the facility. Any question?
Do you want to just talk about behind the yellow barn, currently there's an existing shed there, and that's gonna...
The existing shed and the pole barn, and there's a connector to the yellow barn, that's gonna be removed, and we're gonna be turning that into parking. And really, that's a good point you brought up, because what we intend to do is really make the front of the yellow barn, the back, where the back is right now, because we anticipate in the future, the use of the rail trail will be more inviting to have the front towards the back, because that's where we hope to see people moving, utilizing the trail and stopping in the facility. Also, we do have plans, the town has plans to move forward with revamping and improving the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail in that area, from there all the way to the Walden town line. And once we get into Walden, we can make some improvements in Walden, hopefully, and we'll be connected all the way to St. Johnsbury. So that'll create a great opportunity for traffic through here. I mean, that's a long ride. I think from Wolcott all the way to Walden is probably like, it's at 14 miles, I believe, that trail. Is that trail?
In Hardwick.
In Hardwick.
Yeah. Hardwick's the biggest town.
Yeah.
Really?
That's the most.
The bend.
Because of the bend?
Well,
Yeah.
because of the whole thing,
Yeah.
but yeah. It winds through Hardwick,
But the bend's on Hardwick. The bend is only like 0.6 of a mile. It's a big bend.
It's the big bend.
That's in Hardwick.
All right, so this is the rendition we showed last time we were here, what end of the yellow barn will look like. This is the end on the west side, northwest side, showing this is the upper area of the barn, up in the hayloft area. This is what it would look like if we had a retail space there of some sort, say Craftsbury General Store or a bakery or something, a facility like that. They wanted to do some direct sales there.
And so this is like meant to be a representation of what it could look like.
Right.
And part of the idea, I think, not to put words in your mouth, is just to give people an idea that, especially prospective tenants, that it's not going to be an old barn after it's renovated.
It's hard for some people to look at that barn and think it's going to be a nice space, but actually it's going to be 4 1,000 square foot cells, which can look like this. This is probably one of the nicer because it's on the end, so you have a view out that way. But the back side of the barn is going to have, at this point, we're talking about having large glass garage doors. Roll-up doors that allow access to the building, allow people to move products in and out, and also allow people to see into the facility as well. Any questions from the crowd? Maybe I'll just move this over here. So I have to stand this way.
We should get hooked up so people can call in questions, email questions.
I'd love that. They're gonna start calling. If you say that, what's the number?
472-6655.
Closest person to the phone has to answer it. Damn. All right, so this is the yellow barn floor plan. Pretty simple. It's 4,000 square feet, so each one of these is nearly 1,000 square feet of space that we would be leasing out to an emerging business. Right now, we've been talking with Sawyer-made chairs, which would take one of these spaces here, and we've been talking with other folks who might potentially take these spaces. We're just trying to work through that, talking with potential tenants. I want to show you this just because basically right now there's that pole barn in the backside. That pole barn is going to be removed, and we're going to build a loading dock area here that can be shared by everyone. This here, I believe, is a walkway. It's handicap accessible on this end, so it slopes this way, and then there's stairs on this side. So you can come in with a wheelchair on that side, and you come in with stairs on this side. And there's a loading dock for big trucks, and there's going to be a loading dock for smaller trucks in that area there. So, any questions?
How far are you on talking to Sawyer-made about their residency in there?
On what?
How far along are you talking to Sawyer-made about their residency in there?
We had a meeting with them the week before last, and they said part of their business plan is to expand. And one of the things they want to do is, they're building a little training center to train 3 or 4 people each episode or each semester up in Woodbury, and handmade chair making. But here they want to do a production line where they would produce more chairs, kind of a different line of chairs. And they said part of their business plan is to do that. So basically what we'd be doing with them now is negotiating a lease rate that they could live with, and trying to work into their business plan to have them make that decision to move forward. So we haven't got a signed lease yet, but we've been talking with them. It's been a pretty good discussion, actually.
It sounded like their timeline matched our timeline in terms of getting the project built.
Yeah. Because right now they're tied up with doing that little project up in Woodbury, and they will probably, in about 2 years when this is completed, or the next year and a half when it's completed, they'll be ready to move forward towards this facility. This here just shows the general space. Now, what is this one? This is a shell building, ground floor. This basically just shows the general space. I don't know if you want to explain this a little bit more.
Well, essentially, there's 2 tenants in it. There's the Bienfait Bakery on the right-hand side in the light pink, and then there's the Jasper Hill cheese aging in the green zone. Yellow is common area. Most of the common area is upstairs.
But there's some common area right here. There's like a walkway through there.
There's a walkway on the front face to give access to the visual access and interaction with the bakery, and also there's an opportunity for some gallery space there for story of Hardwick or story of food. Then upstairs to more common space, which will have some viewing opportunity to the Jasper Hill cheese aging.
And this space here, we have large doors here that would be opening into the Bienfait Bakery area, so people can see in and see what's going on with Bienfait. And they would also have, along here, would have tables and chairs, so if they wanted to serve up some of their artisan baked goods, they could do that with coffee and things like that. So people have a destination and a reason to go there. They can see that maybe the history of Hardwick, or the history of the granite industry, or the history of agriculture, and they could have something to eat, something to drink, and then they could go upstairs and check out the cheese making operation.
Do we have it upstairs? Too.
Look at that.
Oh, look at that.
Whoops, look at that. Got a problem right here. Let me fix it. So upstairs, people would come upstairs and they could go down the hallway here, and this would be the viewing area for the caves.
Can you explain how which part of that is very high from the ground floor? It takes 2 stories, basically.
The L-shaped piece here is all double height space, full of cheese essentially. So this space here has the opportunity to view into these caves to see the cheese being aged.
Yeah. It's all like watching paint dry.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
or lard dry, or whatever it is you have on your cheese, but that's right. Actually, no, but there's gonna be a robot in there, and there's gonna be people in there doing work. And in this area here is gonna be down here is gonna be like a cut and wrap.
So that'll be cold storage in and out.
Yep.
Where
Oh, where you're bringing in the
Yeah.
cheese and
yeah, that's the full height
bringing the temperature. Yep.
bit. So all our distribution of cheese that's aged in this facility, at the Food Venture Center, and at Jasper Hill will all be consolidated in this cold storage facility that's here, and there's going to be a full cut and wrap and conversion facility there, so we'll be able to cut and wrap portion cheese. Our mail order program's going to move down here. All our wholesale pallet orders will be assembled and shipped out of this facility. And so that's in the light green, in the downstairs section of that light green area, kind of in the center of the building. Yeah.
And then we'll go back to the other sheet. You made me jump ahead.
Oh, sorry.
So you should introduce yourself.
My name's Matteo Keeler. I'm founded Jasper Hill with my brother Andy. Wanted to just appreciate the town of Hardwick for supporting this project. I think represents at least 10 years of growth and millions of pounds of milk, right? So we look at this building and it's all big and exciting, but the real impact from this building is going to be on the farms that we're buying milk from in the community. So we see this as kind of the next 10 years of growth, in the same way that the cellars at Jasper Hill have been the last 10 years.
So this is going to be the future 10 years.
Yeah.
Going forward. I wanted to say my sister has a farm in Calais, and I don't know if they're shipping. I think they're shipping to Canada, but they're getting paid slightly over what they were getting paid per 1,000 pounds of milk. They're getting paid about, I don't know, 20. I know it's $21 or $22 a hundredweight. Less than 18. Well, I remember in 1977. I was just 2 years old, but I remember that they were getting that same rate of pay back then. So going forward, don't you think costs have gone up for farmers? And they're getting paid what they were getting paid, just, 10 years ago? 20 years ago?
30.
30, I'm just kidding, but yeah, 40 years ago.
40.
And so the costs have gone for the farmers, and these folks pay a premium to the farmers for the milk that they produce. They have some standards that they want them to abide by, but they pay a premium for their milk. So that in itself is going to help the farmers in this region, especially in this region. So, and I think the farmers in Vermont need all the help they can get right now with all the pressures on them. So.
You buy directly from the farmers, or?
What's that?
Do you buy directly from the farmers?
So the way our business is organized, we actually buy from the co-op and we pay the farmer a premium on the side, which is the difference between what we consider a living wage, so around $25 a hundredweight, and whatever the market price is, which right now is right around 15.
Wow.
So
It's worse than I thought it was.
What we're trying to do is take the volatility out of the experience on the farm by stabilizing the milk price, but we do that it's not a partnership, in parallel to the co-op, so that
So the milk actually, the co-op picking up the milk and...
no, we pick up the milk.
Yeah.
We pay the co-op for the milk, and then we pay the farmer a premium on the side.
It's a good, and they invest a huge amount of money in this region. And as we go forward, the one thing you have to remember too is that emerging businesses are the ones that hire most of the people. If you look at General Electric and you look at GM and you look at all these different other major companies that have been around for a long time, they're not where the growth is. Matter of fact, if you look at GM, they're shrinking right now. If you even look at Tesla, they're shrinking right now. And emerging companies are the ones that hire people. So that's why the focus of this whole economic development project is on emerging businesses. Because if we can help them grow and go over the threshold to the next step, they're going to hire more people, they're going to grow, they're going to spend more money in the region, and we're hoping to see 25 to 30 jobs created over the next 5 years. Maybe it'll take a little longer than 5 years, but every one of those jobs has a positive impact on 3 other jobs in Hardwick and in the surrounding area. So that's why we think this is so important for the town and for Northeast Kingdom. Anyway, so that's that. Oh, Doug, you missed it. You're great. You're a great photographer too, by the way.
Figured you'd like that.
So, any other questions?
So the time frame is still
Great question.
with the hope that all the grants fall into place and stuff, it's still 2 years?
Our time frame is we're hoping to have final designs done at the end of June first part of July, go out to bid, and start construction no later than October of this year, and have the facility constructed by next October 2020. So any of you people out there that think this is going to take like 6 years to do, it's not going to take 6 years to do. We're moving through the hurdles of the environmental process right now. We're on the tail end of that. We're doing a phase 2 environmental assessment, which once that's completed, we can actually purchase the property, finalize that. Then we're going to move forward with our designs, we're moving forward with our grant process. We're actually going to the community development program, asking for $1 million. We're asking for, what was it, 3.4 million, 3.2 million from EDA?
3.2.
That's from the Economic Development Administration with the feds. And using that money going forward, we're gonna have to borrow some money as bridge financing, and then we're gonna move forward, and Jasper Hill's gonna have a significant investment in this project too. I don't know if you want to say how much it is or not, we talked about it. It's a lot.
Like north of $3 million.
Is going in on this. So the total project itself is going to be around $10.4 million. And that's a huge investment. And when I was down at the legislature this last week talking with them about that, they were just so happy to see that type of investment, and they were hugely supportive. When I went into that meeting, I didn't know how we were going to be treated, because I used to work for the state, you know, those guys. And when you went to the legislature, they didn't always have welcoming arms when you walked in. But walking in with an economic development plan, they were hugely supportive. They said, you know, we're running down every one of these agencies that you're applying for money. If you have any issues with any of those state agencies, you call us, because we'll call them. So they were very supportive of this, the Senate and the House committees. So anyway, so that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to bring in some emerging businesses. We're trying to create economic growth. We're trying to do this using as much grant money as we can. We're going to use new market tax credits. And those new market tax credits will help pay off some of our indebtedness so that we can keep our lease rates low, so the emerging businesses that don't have a lot of money can afford to come in there and actually have a space where they can produce, and everybody will be together. And collectively, you'll have a whole group of people there together. Everybody's going to learn from each other. And one thing we haven't talked about, too, I just want to jump into that just for a second, is that upstairs we're going to have some programmable space, right? Where we're going to have some office areas for Jasper Hill up there. We're going to have some office areas for the Center for Ag, because the Center for Ag will be the managing agency that's going to be running this for the town, under contract with the town to run it. Similar to what we do with, you know, we have a separate board that runs Hardwick Electric. It's the same thing. I mean, we own Hardwick Electric. Another board runs Hardwick Electric. Hardwick Electric was an economic driver in 1912 or whenever it was developed. They may not be such an economic driver now.
Oh my God. It's very good.
But the point is, I'm just making the point.
They're using Hardwick Electric to us as a good example. I can't even believe it.
Well, it's an example of how the town separates itself from one of those economic organizations. And this would be the same way. Center for Ag's board would be the board that would be the oversight of this. And you know, we might talk about having someone from the select board maybe be part of the Center for Ag board someday, just so that there is some connection between the town. But at that point, the town would not be doing the day-to-day operations of this facility, be done to the Center for Ag under a contract with Center for Ag to run it. And
So unlike the electric department, we wouldn't be the appointed board.
Right.
Somebody else said we'd be just contracting that out.
Right, but you would in the paperwork have a connection, a legal connection with the facility. So, and I would expect that the Center for Ag would come back at least once a year and give an overview of the revenues they took in and the expenses that they had, and work out those details as we move forward.
But I think part of the idea about running this facility was that we don't want the town to be burdened with, you know, we want to see the economic development, we want to help by, you know, pushing this project forward, but we don't want the town to be in the business of running it.
And
I don't, anyway.
Danny's talked a couple times about the fact that we should not be even handling the economic development fund, that we should create a nonprofit.
We've talked about creating our own economic development nonprofit
Yeah.
to do not only manage this facility, but hopefully the future economic development.
Well, and hopefully, if
But that's all, like I said, it's all in the detail. I mean, we don't have to work that out quite yet.
But the success of a project like this could help us
Right.
springboard us into the next project that we wanted, like,
Right.
some revitalization in the downtown or another.
It might not
business
necessarily be
park.
something that the Center for Ag would want to be part of.
The next one.
The next one.
It might not, but I
far as
think
economic
success,
development, yeah.
but success in this, I think, helps position the town to
Absolutely.
be successful in the next venture.
I have one more question that's not related to that. So a while ago, when we were talking about this, it was the new building, the new construction was gonna happen first, and then the barn was gonna be dealt with later. But it sounds like maybe they're more in.
We're doing the whole thing at the same time.
Okay, well, I like that, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely like if you're gonna do it, do it.
That's partly because of the interest, right, John? I mean, you have a lot of firms that are coming to the table and they're interested in this, so is that kind of why it's maybe syncing up?
But it just made sense to do it at the same time and just lock up our funding and get it over with and not have to keep going back.
As well
Yeah.
as disturbance, trying to get one building built, then you're trying to do another one, right?
Right.
Economy of size, really.
Sharing the driveway with a construction
And we're
project, day
still-
one? Nope. There'll be enough bugs to work out without that.
We're still gonna have pay some attention to the historic part of the barn business?
We're going
It's all
through a
gonna
106 review right now with historic
stay-
preservation.
Okay, good,
That much reservation is today.
Yeah.
okay.
It's not because we have to, because we want to.
Because it's a beautiful part of entering Hardwick and it needs to stay that way.
Essentially, the intent is on the three sides that you can see from the street will be historically preserved as is, repaired and fixed up, maintained. And then all of the modernization will happen on the back side.
Good.
Yeah.
Right, that's a beautiful postcard on that side. That's about all it's good for though, really, so.
Well, that's what
May as well take
everybody talked
advantage of
about.
it, you know what I'm saying?
Legislature,
Yeah.
they're like, the iconic barn, you drive into Hardwick and there's this big barn sitting there and it says agriculture and that's what.
No, with that,
Well, it's a landmark.
since we're talking about that, is the new building obviously is gonna be a contrast in the buildings. And you're gonna see that it's gonna change the look of that whole historical barn considerably, so I'm just asking, are there any requirements being put on that building because of the yellow barn, or are you free to do whatever you want?
For the-
I mean, obviously, you're gonna try to make them look nice, but.
Yes. It's a super important site. It's the first thing you see when you come into Hardwick, so it has to be, I guess that's on my shoulders to make that look
And we'll probably see.
appropriate. And
a
then
little
there are
more
some
of the end of the
controls
barn.
on it too. I mean, certainly the whole group, everybody has an opinion, so it's gonna be a process to get there. But like from historic preservation, they want to know what the new building looks like also. They are. It doesn't pertain to their preservation, but they want to know.
Do they want it painted yellow?
Probably not. It's kind of a fine balance, because they want it to like,
They don't wanna take away.
fit, but they don't want it to overcompete with the yellow.
Same thing as we were dealing with the library too.
Yeah.
So how is this gonna impact the sewer?
Time's up, we're 6. Well, there's gonna be a BOD load coming out of here, there's gonna be organic loading, it's gonna go to the wastewater plant. And I'm not gonna say it's gonna be little, because it's gonna be fairly significant, I'm not exactly sure how significant. But at the same time, Caledonia Spirits has a significant BOD load coming to the wastewater plant. And we were dealing with that, but they're leaving. So that loading process that was coming to the plant from Caledonia Spirits is not gonna be coming there anymore. So basically, this facility will take up some of that space that they were using.
Can you talk a little about, I think you had mentioned in a previous conversation about maybe storing or having a way to kind of meter the outflow?
Well, I think what we're planning, obviously, I'm trying to have a pump station here that we can meter the outflow, we can determine which facility is using what water and which one's producing what waste load to the wastewater plant, so we can characterize that a little closer. We also talked about the possibility of eventually, which we should be doing this anyway, is building some sort of receiving area eventually down in the yard of the wastewater treatment plant, where it can handle both the flows from the current industrial park and the flows from here, and actually pre-treat them before they go into the wastewater plant. And that's something that USDA would be hugely supportive of doing under a community facility.
Because that's essentially where our load is all coming from, is right there at that end of town.
Right.
And
Right, we don't have any Most everything else is residential.
Yeah, the residential creates a significant load. That plant was designed mainly to handle residential loading, but when we upgraded the plant a few years back and put in the anaerobic reactor, that reactor has been very, very successful in treating the extra food load coming in. If we didn't have that, we wouldn't be able to do any of this work here. But right now, the plant's in compliance, it's taking a significant load, and I don't see it changing at all because of this facility going in there, because Caledonia Spirits is going to be going away. And their load was hugely significant, more than any of the places over in the industrial park. And because their loading is, you know what they're doing? They're discharging methanol and different alcohols that they cannot use. That's why that Tomcat is so good. It's a gin, but it's a barrel-aged gin, and it's barrel-aged in bourbon barrel, so it tastes like a bourbon. But the point is, let me tell you, the point is they get rid of all the nasty aftertaste alcohol that you find in 5 o'clock. That's why 5 o'clock only costs you $5.
Right.
All right, this is why this costs a little bit more than that. But the point is, they're discharging that to the wastewater plant, and ethanol is food to microorganisms. And it's food that's immediately available, so it depletes your oxygen almost immediately. So what happens is the food that's going to be coming from this facility is going to be more particulate matter and probably something that can be broken down in a different way, and so we can treat that before it gets to the wastewater.
Who asked the sewer question?
I did.
Clearly the new guy.
I was reading the News and Citizen the other day, and they put in some things like this, and they got themselves in big trouble because they ran out of capacity. Morrisville did.
Well, they put in a lot of stuff, and they put in like 2 breweries too,
Yeah.
Lost Nation and the other
That's
one.
my point, is it sounds to me like if we're banking on one leaving to allow another one, then that's kind of
That's the way
concerning.
I'm looking at it, is one
Right, but that's kind of
significant-
concerning about the future of what if, we were hoping not to lose one. We were hoping that Caledonia would have stayed, so if we need to do something to pre-treat or whatever, we'll just have to figure it out.
We need to explore that.
But we need to think about that as part of the
If it's-
project.
If it's
that's
doing
coming down the
something to
road.
pre-treat that as well as the industrial park, that whole area like you're speaking of, we should start thinking about that.
Yeah, because that's our future.
Not put a burden on this project, but solve Andrew's problem and, whoever's hopefully over the Caledonia Spirits in 5 years, solve all those problems with a pre-treatment down there for our
To
industrial.
a certain degree, it's kind of, I don't know, kind of a positive thing having Caledonia Spirits lead now, because their wastewater demand is going to be leaving with them. It's going to be going to Montpelier. And I remember my email to Montpelier was good luck with that.
So we would, our thinking today, we wouldn't allow that to come in without serious consideration.
Well, I think that
Because of the.
well, yeah, we know what breweries do, now we know pretty much what the distilleries do, because it's different. But I'm not gonna minimize it, dairy waste has significant BOD loadings too, but there's ways to treat that. So I think we need, going forward, I think the town's gonna have to look at possibility of doing that, because, you're gonna be getting a benefit out of this here, and that will help in its own way fund future changes to the wastewater plant. And I know those, USDA, and I know the environmental agency is gonna be very supportive of making improvements to the wastewater plant.
I would say that wastewater treatment, just as a business owner, there's 2 things that have been hugely limiting for us: wastewater treatment and electricity. Right, those, if you look at investment in the grid here in Hardwick Electric, they've been stepping it up the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah, right.
But it's been very recent, and if you look at what the choker on economic development is, it's wastewater and access to 3-phase power. And that's not a problem in the village here.
Right.
But if...
Well, we've seen that with you guys, we've seen it with the brewery, we see it with the hemp guys. The first thing they had to invest in is a significant investment in power, just to turn the lights on.
We're pretty much done in Greensboro until we can upgrade our electrical access. We go run 3-phase power up there, and when it's all said and done, that's going to end up being probably somewhere between $300,000 and $500,000, right? And there's all kinds of businesses that choose to go somewhere else because of wastewater and electricity. So as a select board, if you're really interested in uncorking future economic, potential here, I think it's like, we're not going to be there's not going to be any milk in this building.
Right.
But we would love to build another cheese plant, and we're going to need to do that at some point somewhere. But there's no capacity in Hardwick for like a cheddar plant, for instance.
Not unless you did pre-treatment, it's like Ben and Jerry's did in Waterbury. They have a couple aerated ponds that they use, and that's provided them with enough treatment so it doesn't damage the operation of the Waterbury treatment.
Something that is complicated. If you're gonna do, the layout of Hardwick makes that type of operation pretty limited.
Yeah.
I think the only ponds we're gonna have in that end of town are already built.
Right.
So, but that doesn't,
But a pre-treatment for the industrial park area would be just like massive. Because it would create opportunities for other food-based businesses to
again, the job
move in.
in Hardwick, that's where the expansion is gonna be. I mean,
Well, the expansion's gonna be over on Cary Road too. There's potential there to 7 acres there. And you would wanna really consider putting some sort of pre-treatment in over there if you're gonna have food-based
Over there
businesses.
as well. Yeah.
Well, I would do it over there because it's right there. And you pre-treat and then you ship it down to the plant. But I think that it would be really beneficial for the town to create a plan and talk with Aldrich and Elliott about potential designs and seeing what they could come up with for an idea.
it's gonna be a project for a couple of years. Like to keep it busy.
A little bit about water.
Sounds like wastewater there.
I know a little bit.
So how close are we to capacity with our wastewater plant right now?
We're okay, we're fine.
Well, the thing is, they used to keep track of the capacity of the plant, but the plant's capacity was increased when we increased the aeration capability back about 20 years ago. And then back in 2008, 2007, they added the anaerobic reactor, which increased the capacity, but they never analyzed what the capacity was. That would be something I would move forward with first, to find out what the treatment capability of the plant is, and then move forward with determine what your remaining capacity is.
We know it's good, we're just not.
That's what I was
Making, they're looking at what you're designed for, and once you start to hit that 80% of your design, then the flags start to go up.
But the big point though, is what are you sending out of the plant?
Right.
And if your BOD level going out of the plant is designed to be 30 milligrams per liter, but you're only hitting 10, then you've got some capacity left.
Well, you gotta be careful there, John, as you know, because we got the new phosphorus standards.
Right, we got
It's
that
not just
stuff
the
too.
one parameter.
No, I know.
We make it work.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that the point is that you can't always look at the head end of the plant, you have to look at the tail end of the plant.
Yeah, just one other thing I would add is that, the town is, as John has been doing right along, working actively with the businesses so that, we can ensure, it's a dance, if you will. So, working on the best management practices and, obviously about the overall capacity, but also trying to avoid those spike situations, if I can refer to them as you get that discharge from a distillery and it has the potential of wiping out your biological process. That is a big problem. So these are things that John has worked on for years to ensure we don't have situations like that. So it's a dance moving forward.
It's more so a problem in a small what they call activated sludge plant, because the overall detention time in the plant is 24 hours. The overall detention time in this lagoon is 48 days. So there's a big difference in how it's impacted by spikes.
Specialist in the waste.
I think it's an important issue though that we should think about, because my understanding, I don't know much about it, but my understanding is it's very expensive or impossible in our case because we don't have the room to expand the plant or deal with that.
No, but you can do
hitting a
treatment
wall.
up front.
Yeah.
You reduce the loading coming into the plant. Instead of rebuilding the whole plant.
expensive thing, or is that, what's that run?
It's all expensive.
Well, that's what I'm figuring, it's all real expensive, so I think we should think about it
We're
as
not
part of the
critical,
project.
we're nowhere near critical.
You know what the issue is that you gotta spend money to make money. If you wanna have an economy that's gonna grow, then you have to spend money to do the cost. You can't, nothing's for free.
There's
So
only
you
so
can-
much money you can spend, and you can't, so I think we need to think about it as
Well,
we're going on, before we jump
we
into it.
do.
Well, and the other point to think about too, though, is that all this development, this economic development as it moves forward, it's gonna create a demand for housing, it's gonna create a demand for people to be in Hardwick. People are gonna be here, they're gonna be eating and spending money in Hardwick, but they're also, the property values are gonna go up. Because right now, instead of everybody driving to Montpelier to have their job, they may have jobs in town here where they're gonna wanna come in here and stay and live. And the price, so the tide floats all ships. So as the tide comes up, it's gonna make everything better for people, but you can't, but it's none of it's for free.
But we still should
But the taxpayers.
keep about putting a little bit of analysis into our
Yeah.
wastewater plant and maybe making a plan to increase capacity as we can.
So noted.
Yeah.
It's 6:15.
Yeah, I was just noting that too. We've run over. This is
Told you guys,
exciting
that
stuff.
question that Lucian
Don't,
asked at 6
Lucian
o'clock.
doesn't know the rule, don't ask John sewer questions.
Because we'll be here for a while.
After 8 years, a couple of us know better. We'll bring that topic up.
Another decade and I'll have that down.
Do it in private.
Hey, thank you very much.
Thank you.
A cup of coffee.
Thanks everybody for coming.
He literally will talk forever.
So I'm gonna close the
He loves it, he gets excited.
hearing.
public hearing. Thank you. A little bit late, like 15
you,
minutes
guys.
late. We're gonna start up on the regular meeting, which slated to begin at 6. It's now almost 6:15. First item is to approve minutes for two minutes, one from a public hearing on January 17 and one from the regular meeting on January 17. If you guys don't have anything on those, maybe we could have a motion to
Motion
pass them
to
both.
pass, go, giddy up.
Second.
Okay, any changes, amendments?
Coco was here last,
No.
For the public hearing.
Oh, for the public hearing. Yeah.
he was, wasn't right here?
Yeah.
Yes, you were.
Oh, they were here, now, yeah, I remember now, sorry.
Okay. Any more discussion?
No, yeah, good.
Everybody good?
Yeah.
All right, all in favor of approving both sets of minutes as written, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, set adjust agenda. We've got a short and sweet agenda here.
Perfect.
Item number 1 needs to be deleted.
Yay.
Because Carol wasn't able to attend tonight.
So she'll come another night?
Yeah, it's looking like she'll be in April,
Yep.
but she'll come.
Yeah, so she'll come another time.
Yeah, she was concerned about the travel situation later,
Well,
and she's got to go back to Jeffersonville.
there's possibly reason to be concerned about the
absolutely.
travel situation later.
Yeah.
So, before we move on to the agenda items, so I've often said I do not like the times on the agenda, and I believe tonight's gonna be a prime example of are we gonna sit around until 7 o'clock to wait for Nat?
Nat was notified to be here early.
Okay, so that's all I'm saying, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nat was notified to be here
Everybody, we
early.
should just tell everyone always to be here.
Yeah, we did.
6.
Good.
Everybody was
Thank you.
informed.
Usually all of the items we notify people saying 6:15.
I should have known, Amanda, if you were in charge, you would take care of me.
Jean was, I talked to Jean about coming for the assessor thing, and she, but she has choir practice, so she won't be able to be here until after 7, so we'll
okay.
see how that.
Danny, I did email Nat, but I didn't see a
Yeah.
response from him
Wait.
yesterday morning, so.
Well, it wouldn't
Hopefully it
be
will be.
uncommon, he's usually here, honestly, at
Yeah.
the beginning of the meeting when he's
Sure.
coming, so I'm pretty confident he's not coming tonight.
I understand.
I just hate for people, because we've had people walking here before us as we're walking out, remember? And say,
Yeah.
as long as the people are
Right.
notified to be here, that's all I care about.
All right, duly noted. So any other updates,
I'd make
changes
it
to the
change
agenda?
As amended, that's.
Oh, that's right, you make a motion to
As
accept the
amended.
agenda as amended with the deletion of item number 1, Carol to come another time. That's it, though. All right, so we had a motion to change the agenda. Can we have a second?
Second.
Any other
Aye.
changes? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye, aye,
Motion
aye.
carries. New agenda, we roll. Communication from the audience. The audience is severely depleted after our public hearing.
We wore him out. John Jewett cleared the room again.
Yep.
They're all out in TV land.
Next, town manager report
Holy
by
jeez.
Sean
I got
Fielder.
negative 2 minutes, so I better get on it.
No, I think you have
Danny.
plenty of time, because I suspect the next things will be short.
Yeah.
Just a couple highlights for everybody. Have talked to Shauna Clifford at V-Trans. She's kind of the lead that we communicate with on various transportation issues, so I have established contact with her. Right now, working with Scott Gurley from V-Trans. He is overseer of the Creamery Road project, which is earmarked from, I think, 2006, if I have my year correct. So the project there is the Creamery Road project, where the intent is to have a parking lot space as a part of the rail trail project. So I've been communicating with Scott about the town's attorney just reviewing a lease that would be between VAST and V-Trans. That is being negotiated between those two entities. Once that comes through, then we'll be moving forward on just getting a legal process of a right-of-way established with our town attorney assisting on that. On Public Works, sorry, do you want to go with questions now or just keep rolling? What's your preference, Select Board?
We'll jump in if we need to.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Water and wastewater, just put the finishing touches on the wastewater treatment facility and collection system emergency, electrical failure response plan, Ken Lacasse assisted on that. That's a state required item, update every couple of years, so that's in order. The intent on that is we just have to evaluate if we have a power outage either at the wastewater treatment facility and or at our given pumping stations around town. We want to ensure we have a way to take care of any of the wastewaters that are coming into those points. And from the bullet point on that is we have a good plan in place so that we can address that situation. We have Bridgman Hill Reservoir Project, the bond vote is coming up, and just remind everybody that's watching that on February 28th, we have a hearing on this project, so our engineers are Aldrich and Elliott, and they will be taking part. And this is a required project per state standards, improvements for the cover on the Bridgman Hill Reservoir. I think it's also important for folks to understand right now, if you're not able to attend the hearing, that we have been putting some capital reserve aside. We are going to be receiving a pretty significant subsidy per the state program that's going to be providing the funding on this project. We don't have the final numbers, but if you're wondering, hey, why do we have to bond out for that full amount, which, so everybody knows, the bond amount that's going to be shown on the town meeting item vote is $420,000. What I would say at this point is, assuming all these things happen with using of our capital reserve and the subsidy support from the state financing agency, we are not going to have to borrow that full amount, but technically you do that on these types of capital projects. Winter operations been putting a lot of stress on anybody having to move snow, whether that's private or public crews. And one of the things I would just want to relate to our crew is I appreciate their efforts. They've had some long hours this winter and in this past month, and they've done a nice job keeping up. So there's been a lot they've had to do. I saw a report recently where the first 62 days of winter we had at least 1 inch of snow in 47 of those days. So they're out frequently, and unfortunately we're into the pattern now of some freezing rain, so that's unfortunate. Couple items there that are would be important for everybody to know is that Pearlie assisted me with just looking at what do we got for our stock sand, and based on an inspection last week, we kind of guesstimated we're about halfway through what we have in our sand pile. So this is an issue that everybody's tuned into right now. I know some towns in the area have already actually run out now, but Hardwick's done a nice job of preparing on this, so we got a decent quantity as of now. As near as we can figure, and it's hard to know what's going to happen the rest of the winter. We think we will make it with our sand. If we did run out, we are locked in on our per yard price. We would pay a surcharge if we had to haul. That price is not set as far as what the surcharge is. Salt is a set price. We're hauling that as we need it. As you can imagine, we're having to use a bit more right now with all these freezing rain events. The thing that quite a few folks have been in touch with me about, particularly around the Wolcott Street area, is we got the ice flow situation on the Lamoille, which is basically from Elm Street down to the Black Bridge. Danny actually assisted me with looking at that last Monday. Public Works has been really good about helping me just evaluate where we're at. Chief Cochran as well. He's pretty familiar with this pattern. And it came up pretty significantly on the 25th of January. Within 3 or 4 days, the ice level dropped. We still have a significant amount of ice in the channel. And the weather has cooperated in that we just had one day where the water came up on Wolcott Street, but we're going to be making a move where most likely I'm going to be lining up a contractor to get ourselves in a position where we can start to excavate some ice so that we can avoid having a significant problem with the transportation route, and just get it so that we're in a position if any rains do come. Nothing is predicted significant in these next 4 or 5 days. We're going to prevent a problem from occurring. It's one of these things that you don't want to play chicken with it, but you don't want to let it go too long. So that's where that's at. So everybody is aware, all the citizens in the community are aware, we do have a line item for this, and we would not be using a significant portion of that if we have to do some work in this next week to 10 days. Did take part in a housing summit that was hosted by Lamoille Housing Partnership. I've done outreach up the East Hardwick area, checked in on a couple of issues up there, just seeing how it's going with the snow removal and snow banks, and as everybody knows, that's been something that's wearing on a lot of people. If you, I've had a number of people call and just check, hey, can we get a sight line here on an intersection or at a drive? And our crew is doing their best to keep up. As one example goes, Center Road obviously had a lot of snow on it last week, and our crew get up there and wing things back, when they had the opportunity to do so. It's one of these times this winter where we aren't getting 2 or 3 days of clear weather where they would get the loader out, get the grader out. They've literally had to stay on the trucks to keep the roads open. So that's been a significant challenge. We heard a lot in the hearing earlier. We heard about the Center for Ag Economy, and the town manager's office is keeping contact and providing support on that. So that's going to be continuing moving forward. I did attend the police department staff meeting a little while back, and that was good for me to catch up with some of the team members that I hadn't had interaction with yet, and it was good to learn a little bit more about the operations of the department. The select board will be making a decision later this evening in regards to the assessor bid process, so I did sit in on those meetings. And one other thing in regards to employees, I would just point out that in case you're not aware, citizens in the community, longtime employee Brent Hodgson decided to step away from town employment, and his last day of employment was Friday, February 1st. Brent began work with the town in 1988 and has been a valuable asset for the community. And what I would like to say is on behalf of the town, thanks to Brent for his service, many years of service to the town. So good luck in your next endeavor, Brent. Thank you.
1988.
Yeah, long run.
Wow.
That's all I have.
Wow, that was a lot of stuff.
Hopefully that doesn't mean I'm turning into John, okay? As far as wordy.
No, that's good. That's,
You'll polish it up. You just get started.
Well, it's obviously busy right now with winter operations and things, but good pace this last month, and good support from my crew in my office and then department heads, so we're on target with things, I believe.
Yeah.
Cool. So
I just want to echo your thanks to the road crew. I feel like that things have been looking good out there, and I know it's been busy.
yeah, thank you, Eric. So you get to hear more from me now.
Next up would be, in fact, the road foreman report. Do you have, you know what they've been up to?
Yeah, so what I can do is, I commented on a couple of things. Tom had to get called, Tom was called out last night, as majority of the crew was, and also, was out early this morning, again, with these freezing rain conditions, so.
And they might be out again tonight.
Yeah, and they probably are gonna be heading out again tonight, so, they obviously try to get here, but when he came into my office earlier this week, I said, hey, I know you're gonna be busy on the truck, and if you're tired, and, I know a couple of bullet points that we need to cover, so I agreed to cover for him. You heard some information about our sand pile. Obviously busy with sand, snow, salt operations. Just one other detail, we did have a team member earlier this week that slipped on a running board and fell and banged his knee inside up, but he was out one day, but it doesn't look like anything significant, so we're fortunate there. But just these conditions, particularly if you've had 80, 90, 100-hour weeks, which is what our folks are experiencing right now, you got to just be careful. And I know personally, I've almost fallen down myself getting it out of my truck a couple of times this last week, so you got to just be careful. So, just a reminder for the citizens out there, just watch these sidewalks, these cycles that we've got now, our crew's doing their best to keep up, but you got to really pay attention. With the snowbanks melting, you're going to have stuff sheeting up, so just go easy and just be careful and cognizant of that.
Are all our trucks running right now? I think they are, aren't they?
Yeah, as far as I know, all the trucks are running as of right now. That's a correct statement. Well, let's knock on wood.
That's great.
Okay. Yeah, we had a sander gear, that's right, thank you, man. We had a sander gear device that blew out on one of the trucks, but Tom's already on getting that fixed up, so it was something that's, preventative, it's regular maintenance item, so that shouldn't be out of business for any amount of time. It may be one storm cycle, if you will.
Good.
That's pretty much it, unless there are any questions.
I think I'm good.
Anyone else? Danny?
All right, good. You had a police report.
And I'll do that one as well. Chief Cochran had a personal conflict with the schedule this evening, so unfortunately he wasn't able to get here, so.
So he gave us a
Yeah, you've got the report.
Yeah.
If you want me to read back, I can. If you don't, however you folks want to go.
No.
No?
I just will,
Maybe I could hit a
I will-
couple things, though. Just go ahead.
oh, I was gonna hit a couple things.
Go ahead.
You can follow up.
If you don't hit what I was thinking, then I'll hit it.
I'm gonna hit you both in a minute.
That the police have responded to a bunch of crashes on the roads recently, and they would like to remind drivers to slow down when the conditions are bad. Yeah, that was all I was gonna point out. He has a bunch of other stuff in here as well, but
Do you have a number of crashes?
138 calls in the month of January.
but that's the total.
Total, that's not crashes though. He didn't say.
I said a
number of crashes.
number. They're probably in here, but I don't think I can pull them out quickly.
So
They are
there,
in here.
just a couple other quick bullet points. There has apparently been an influx of retail thefts in the area, so the department is, keeping a close eye on that, investigating the cases, have had several arrests in a couple of instances, and then also continuing to be proactive on assisting merchants in the area with, there's been apparently multiple bad check cases, so they're working on those. And then I think this is important, folks hear about this at this point. Detective Leho is doing his fundraiser basketball charity tournament at Hazen. The date on that is March 30th. There'll be multiple first responder groups taking involved with that. The proceeds from the event will be donated to the Hope Lodge American Cancer Society and locally to the Samantha Brochu Scholarship Fund. One other quick note, just so everybody, the chief talked about this at the last meeting, and that is the Lamoille County Sheriff's, the Communications Dispatch Center did make a change on what they're doing on the 911 hang-ups. So, that's something that basically if there is a hang-up moving forward, then the dispatch center will be in contact with the local police department. So that is with our department as well as others in the area. And just to say this again, the chief was very helpful when I was dealing with the ice backup and on both Wolcott Street, and that same day we had issues up on, in East Hardwick, on just south of the Bend on East Main Street. And the chief was nice enough to, I jumped in, rode shotgun with him, and the chief is the emergency response coordinator for the town of Hardwick, so it just helps me to have somebody I can go to and just, have some eyes on, get his perspective about, what have you seen with the cycle on these things. And that kind of feedback has been extremely valuable, not just from the chief, but from the other department and town employees, so I appreciate that.
Okay. Great.
Item 3.
Moving right along. Excellent.
I make a motion, we support the certificate of a resolution for the MVP Health Reimbursement Agreement.
This is simply a procedural item.
Yeah. I see where you're headed here. Hang on. Where's the resolution?
Second last page.
Doesn't make any sense to me, but I'll go along with it.
This is a procedural
Okay,
item.
so we have a motion. Could we have a second and then we can?
Sure, I'll second it.
All right.
So it's the plain English version of what this
Yeah.
thing's doing?
So this is basically just saying that we have MVP, we have our health reimbursement account. John usually just signed it, but within this paperwork, it did state governing body. So we just wanted a motion just to cover them.
To cover it. I give it to you.
Yep.
All right.
Served it to you on a platter, folks.
All right, so it's a pretty short resolution, but basically saying that that's our benefit plan.
That we have one.
Yeah.
Right? So I deciphered it.
The board just has to, it's
Yeah.
effectively just acknowledging that, hey, this kicked in January 1st, so it's a backdate issue, but they do just want, they want it in a motion format from the governing board.
All right, any more discussion on the resolution? All in favor of so resolving, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, so we are so resolved.
So
pretty good at
here we are at 6:30. Should we take a 5-minute?
We should roll into, I think we should do the select board reports, new business, old business, executive session. And we could do an electric department report another time.
Well, yeah, because Sean said he notified him to be
Yeah.
at 6, so he's clearly not here by now, he's not coming. He's usually here before I am when he's coming. Nah.
Yeah, he is usually
Yeah,
here
he's
early.
usually here earlier.
That's true. And
He probably-
it's
he
supposed to
probably
be freezing
declined.
rain tonight.
Right, he probably was smarter than us.
He's probably
and
out with
decided
Tom.
Not to drive.
All right, so rolling along, are there select board reports?
Well, the townhouse will reopen because,
Already?
our lease is March 1st to
I'm not even
October 31st. So, so hopefully, the first event is on the 7th of March. So hopefully, the weather will let up and the guys will be able to clear the entrances and stuff so that we can actually get in there and set it up and,
Heat is, you just turn it up this year,
well,
right?
it's,
Like all-
the bathrooms and everything have to be.
Oh, right, but the heat is,
But Sean is, I think, gonna get in touch with the plumber, Wayne,
yeah.
and have him flip things on for us. Yeah, so.
Wayne, the heating guy, Wayne?
Well, yeah, but he deals with the.
I asked him the other day if he was on payroll yet.
Yeah.
He's been doing a lot of work for us.
Well, he's the best thing that happened to us. from
He's
that
done,
Matt, I don't actually know
He's a good
whether
heating
the
man.
crew has been doing the bathroom thing, turning those.
Water on.
Getting those going again, or whether.
Rod.
I don't know how it was done in the past, but.
Well, I
however
propose
it
we
was
have
done,
Wayne do it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like, especially this year, that might be.
I think we should
Yep.
make sure Wayne does it all.
Yeah.
That gives me a better feeling about it being done correctly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Is it-
so that's exciting. We're
That is
almost
exciting.
there to the-
He's
yeah.
been good about identifying problems and not just ignoring them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which got us
First
into
thing is the
our 3 new heating systems in 1 year's
7th,
cycle.
And then there are things,
Which we shouldn't have been in, this
every.
is what I'm saying.
everything's happening.
Well, yeah,
Should have staggered them
people
out.
didn't look at it, and put it off,
We just have to
till
dig
they all
through
blew up.
the snow.
Right, unless it melts.
Knew they were all in the
Before
back
then.
for number of years.
Couple weeks.
They all got 30 years old overnight.
Any other select board reports?
They're 40 or 50, the one in my birth.
Can't think of
was
any.
older than that.
Any new business? Any old business?
By any chance, would
What
anyone have a
about
cell for me?
March, when does that building open up?
What building?
That
7th.
big building over there on the corner?
The townhouse?
She said the 7th,
Well,
they
our
have an event.
the lease with
No,
Neckarts
I want to
is
know what day I can come
March
over there and pick some cushions up for these chairs.
Well, hopefully, that weekend of the.
Because they're clearly not going to get
Weekend of the
delivered.
3rd.
Because the board for Neckarts is volunteering to come over and set it up, because we painted the floor, and so the
Right.
chairs all have to come off and. of the
She said you had
stage,
some old
and we have to
cushions, right, that we
reset
could
stuff
use?
up. So that's, Sunday the 3rd is when we're hoping to be in there, so we're gonna have to. be able to
Show up
open
bright
the
and early.
door.
If I come over and volunteer, I'll be able to knock the seat cushions back.
Take a seat cushion.
Yeah,
All right, gotcha.
well, those red ones you can have,
Yeah, I think they'd be nice these
They
days.
would be nice.
Yep.
On old business, I'd like to say that I'm going to get together with Wiz as soon as I'm able to.
Was
work-
okay?
I don't know where Wiz is.
She's got a little fluey feeling.
Oh, it's
Stomach
nice of her
thing
not
tonight.
to bring in
Yeah,
Jared.
thank you, Wiz, for not
Thank you,
spreading
Wiz,
that.
for not sharing.
She asked me to just give her regrets.
But at some point, I want to, so Wiz and I last year were tasked with trying to come up with some proposal for a town garage.
Yes, you were.
We were, and we're gonna try to get going on that. It was dropped more due to me than due to Wiz, that,
Well, you've been busy, so. we'll
thank
give
you
some
for
slack.
giving me some slack,
You did a
but
fine job.
still, I was over in the town garage the other day, and now they have heat, which is nice, and they're happy that their trucks thaw out when they're in there, but it's making that roof leaky ice dam problem worse.
Yeah,
Because-
yeah.
Because
well,
there's actually
yeah.
enough heat.
The good part
Yeah.
about it being cold in there is there was no ice dam problem, yeah. No, it
So-
needs to be something, because it's not.
Right,
gonna be
so
a
we need to-
one-year fix, so.
Right, we need to come up with a plan, so I just want to, I'm stating that out in the open, that we need to get back on that, and I'll work with Liz on that again.
Eric, do you want to mention the conference call we had this week?
That's a good idea, with Misty Sissingalli from USDA, what's the, community facilities?
Community
Yeah.
facilities?
Yes.
Yeah, so she, before John left, he and I worked together, and he submitted a grant application to her for funds to help us build out the Moyle Valley Rail Trail, and she was just checking, she just wanted to check in with Sean, because we'd had to change, and make sure, she talked with him, and we met, and that we were still moving forward, and so they basically don't have their funding yet, but if all goes well, she spoke very positively about the application, requesting $150,000. So, and
For
the rail trail.
For what sections?
So specifically it's not very specific.
Perfect.
Yep. It generally is from the edge of the village east. So it could be to East Hardwick, could be around the bend, down along the Walden town line, something. But it's a fair amount of money, and the nicest thing about that money.
Oh, you don't even know the nicest thing.
Okay.
You tell me your nicest thing.
My nicest thing is that for her purposes, it's plenty good for us to say our match is the money we're already spending on this trail.
That is very special part about it.
That is nice. Did you have a nicer part?
Well, I've got a really nice part for motorized side of things,
Yeah.
is because there's no prohibition on motorized use
With them.
with USDA money, like there is with bike ped money.
But
Not that,
I don't know if that's nicer than no match.
no, it's not, but it's nice.
If
And
we're
I
in
was
the-
thinking more on the lines of just a short section that way.
Oh.
It wouldn't be a huge.
So what he identified in the application was
That way.
that way.
Well, whatever.
But it's general, that's a lot of trail.
Well, it should be noted that the town of Hardwick, and Eric in particular, is having a fair amount of success in finding some funding for this rail trail. And I'm the chair of the rail trail committee, I've been involved with it since forever. and Hardwick's the first community that's really stepped up and done what we've all been hoping from that standpoint would happen. You know, so it's a good thing.
Yeah, the visitor days for these areas that have it in place, it's going to be significant for the recreational economy.
Yeah.
It really is, very significant.
Yeah, you can see it where it's already developed.
And it's interesting, it does tie back in with the Yellow Barn project, because it goes right by there, and people
Right.
want to see that in action.
In not monitoring it, but in seeing and hearing, it's a lot of the use is local use for health and health transportation reasons, and like Morrisville, Jeff, Cambridge. It's a good place for the locals to be able to walk, bike as well, and that's important.
It really is.
It's important to have that.
I kind of think it'll
Because
get,
walking down 14 or out on 16
Oh, it's
or
not that appealing.
riding your bike up 16, it's not that much fun. I wouldn't do it because I'm chicken.
Yeah,
I know a truck's
chicken
bigger,
too.
I know, I'm a truck driver. I'm a truck driver, so I know I wouldn't ride my bike on the road. But, you know, that plays a really important part in these more rural, I mean, we're the last village center on the rail trail, so we're the last big village center.
it's right on the rail trail.
That's on the rail trail.
Heading as you head to St. Johnsbury.
Well, either way, anywhere. I mean, there's no town between Cambridge and St. Albans of any significance, but Morrisville's already developed, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, right.
It's not developed
It's not
yet.
developed,
You
right.
see what I'm saying? And West Danville, St. Johnsbury. So the other sections in between are really rural sections. So they're not gonna be a huge economic driver, only for the long distance hiker or the long distance, you know, somebody that's trying to do something. It's the people that are doing that are coming here from somewhere else to experience the 93-mile trail. You know, they're bringing
think
bottled
that's-
water and they're hiking through, you know what I'm saying? The real thing is the people from Hardwick that are walking from West Danville to there. So there'll be people from Danville coming over here and walking this section, you see what I'm saying? It's more of it's a closer, people, it's not necessarily people coming from a long ways
From
away.
far away.
Right.
Until it's all built, and then I bet it'll be.
Well, there'll be a
more
segment of
when
that.
it's a 90.
Yeah,
There'll
but
be
those
more of
people
a
will be
segment.
hardcore, you know,
Right.
those are people who come from
But those-
Massachusetts to do the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And it will still be benefiting from the people that are,
Sure. Yeah,
more
I mean, you
locally.
can see it in Morrisville and Cambridge now.
oh, hell, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I want to say I skied the East Hardwick around the bend as much as I could back toward Hill Road, which is where it hits Walden.
Oh, wow.
And it's a really nice section.
Yeah.
It's right by the river.
Yeah.
And then up on the top by the Walden line, it's kind of high elevation,
Yeah.
you can see out and stuff.
Oh, you can see it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can see some
I haven't been
mountains
up
and stuff in
there.
the distance,
I've only
there's some fields
been
and
there in the
stuff.
summer and you couldn't see out very much.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's true. But the wintertime is really nice.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great resource. And we're gonna
I
keep,
ride it all the time in the winter.
Yeah, right, so you probably know.
so you know.
I know, but
All right.
Okay.
So, all right, we're gonna roll into, backtrack into, we were running a little bit ahead of schedule. So now we're gonna roll back since Nat Smith is here to update us on happenings across the road. And we're happy you're here. I hope hope it's not freezing rain out there yet.
Well, no, thank you, Eric.
Yeah.
Hello, Sean.
Hey, all right, good to see you.
I'll read a few comments.
All right.
Hey, Danny. Hardwick Electric's in excellent shape. We have just completed our 6th year in a row of no increase in electric rates. 2018, we were 2% over budget on revenues.
Wait, was that 60 years?
Huh?
Six.
6.
6.
That's at least 6. Maybe actually be more.
Okay.
Okay, 2018, we were 2% over budget on revenues as well as on expenses. Our 2019 purchase power budget is slightly down from 2018. Continued upgrading of our lines continues to reduce line loss, thereby saving us money. Peak usage in the winter, little tidbit, is at 6 p.m. and in the summer, because of solar net metering, it is an hour earlier at 5 p.m. That's usage from us, because people produce their own. Our power purchases for 2019 are expected to be, as they have been, about 36% Seabrook nuclear. That's far and away the largest. 11% Niagara Falls hydro. 11% Massachusetts landfill gas. 14% McNeil and Reigate, Vermont. wood chip burning, 8% our own Wolcott Hydro, 3% Chester, Massachusetts Solar, and the remaining 17% a combination of sources, mostly gas, natural gas, some oil, and some more solar. In the next year, we will be using more solar. Our own H11 project coming on board, we hope in less than a year. That H11 project has cleared a second phase of environmental review. The purchase power agreement between the builder and us is now in the hands of the lawyers. New contract negotiations with the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, representing our staff, will start in a few weeks. And our lawsuit against the KBS auditors from the embezzlement years is moving ahead. Trial dates are expected to be set soon. Any questions?
I just have, you probably don't know the answer to this, Matt, but and I'm assuming it was looked at before the H11 project moved forward. We're not putting that right on top of a valuable gravel resource for the town, are we?
Well, it is an old gravel pit, as you know.
But is it going, what part, is it going in the old part?
Last time when
Is that where it's
Mike
going?
was here, I asked that Mike and Tom coordinate.
I'm just curious.
Because I had the same concern, I just didn't know exactly where it was going relative to where everything else was, and Mike said, no, it's all where it's all used up, but
Yeah, I think it's all.
It's right there at the beginning where they've
Yeah.
already used it up,
Where you-
which would be, I'm all for it either way. I was going through the other day snowmobiling, and I sometimes, part of the problem up there is there hasn't been total reclamation of the old part. So it's pretty ugly. It's ugly to look at, and it doesn't look like the pit's been, I know the pit hasn't been managed well in the past, in my opinion. So I'm assuming we have some sort of report.
That's what I've heard. that-
Geological
And the environmental review would have said.
report, it would tell us whether, I don't know, just
where the gravel is?
where the gravel is, and what's the plan for, do we have a official plan for that as far as the gravel pit? I'm just, it's not all your
That's a
questions, I
great
guess some are
question.
yours too, for you too. Is there an official plan for that pit to utilize it?
There's an Act 250 permit that probably tells
Yeah.
you where you can pull and how much.
This
but
is
do
my
we-
concern.
Yeah.
Natural resources such as timber and gravel are really becoming scarce in Vermont. And I know that we don't actively manage, I don't believe we have an active timber management plan for our forest lands. At least I know
Not that I'm aware
the
of.
one they used up on Buffalo was a bad one. And I don't think there's anything, it's just something, we had talked about that before. Eric and I talked about it. You know, just curious to what we have for planning for our natural resources. Not just for the Hardwick Electric lands. I mean, a lot of your lands that are called Hardwick Electric lands are controlled through easements already for the timber and mining, like all of Myers property up at Macville and up there. I know those are all under strict management plans because of the
Those are a
easements.
little different though.
Right.
Like the area over by the gravel pit isn't.
Isn't that way,
owned by the
Buffalo
town.
isn't that way.
Right.
I mean, that's 70 or 80 acres on Buffalo.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just don't know, sometimes we should look into those and see.
Yep.
So that we're not doing something that, I mean, I'm sure this particular one isn't, it just made me, when you
Yep.
get to ride snowmobile on a sunny day when it's 30 degrees, you get to think about things like this.
So it'd be great to see the map of where this stuff is gonna go.
Yeah,
for one.
if H11 is really moving forward, maybe we get the word out to have them come back and kind of let everyone know. I mean, we saw the plans and stuff 3 years ago when we started.
Maybe a different provider now.
That's fine, but we really haven't been updated on that. I mean, it came and then everybody backed off, and now it sounds like it's moving forward again.
Well, the price is a lot lower now.
Yeah, so maybe it'd be, next month they could
Yeah,
give us
so I'd like to send a map over or what?
Yeah, next month when you guys come, or whenever you come next time.
Mike comes next month.
Yeah, that'd be great to see it,
Well, I think it'd be good for us and the community to
Yeah.
get it up.
The town of Hardwick was talking about putting in something as well.
Yeah, I don't know where that's
I
on.
don't know where that doesn't have to be right now either.
You mean as part of the H11
Yeah.
project?
Yeah,
Yeah.
or some additional that would be your own.
Right, but in that same same geographic area as part of like a
Right.
similar infrastructure. Yeah, we were. That is something that we need to talk to Mike about that and understand it.
Yeah, I mean, if it's where we're moving those forward, we should be, because even with what we did with, up in East Hyder, at Gary Dimmick's, I mean, more solar would be better for the town as a whole.
Right, but we may have committed
Already too much.
all of our, or essentially all of our electrical load to a net metering
Right,
contract for
right,
that.
right,
So we
yeah.
may, from a net metering point of view, we have to look at that.
Yeah, that's you guys figuring that out.
But we could work with Mike a little bit and see if there is something we can do.
You know, on the power purchases, 36% nuclear, et cetera. Now, if you ask people around here, where does your electricity come from? An awful lot of people say, oh, it's Quebec Hydro. And it's not. I mean, it's mostly nuclear, it's a long-term contract, and the expectation is that that contract in another 4 or 5 years will be renewed. And then after that, Niagara Falls, which is a joint Canadian and New York state venture.
So sometimes the hydro plant in Wolcott has produced a little more. I noticed you said 8%. I thought I remembered a 10 or maybe a little more.
10 is the maximum.
Yeah, it was remember he said it was down last time
It was
because
down
of
because
the
of what?
dry summer.
Well,
That was,
a couple of years ago, there was a big dredging project.
Yeah.
Now there's been repairs and, but it's still, it's worth putting the money into it. Now, it's free electricity, basically.
Yeah, it kind of surprising to me that we still have some. How long is Seabrook up good for? A long time, must be?
I don't know, I think
You know what I'm saying? It's been around a while.
we asked that question the other day, and deficit providers didn't know, but I think Seabrook's not in trouble. I mean, I don't think they're about.
No, I haven't heard, well, if it was getting close, we would hear about it, so. Keep it coming. I like to know rate increase, Pat.
for 60 years.
How often is it I say I like something HED did? I like to no rate increase, guys. Keep up the good work.
Any other questions comments for Nat before it's here? Thank you so much for coming.
Yes, thank you for making it.
Appreciate it, and I hope the freezing rain holds off till you get home. Where's the crew? So, Sean told Tom that since they'd been working so much, it wasn't necessary for him to come. Aaron had a conflict tonight, and
That's it.
that's it.
We're it. We are the crew.
I make a motion, we go into executive session.
Yeah, so do we need to do those as two?
Executive sessions?
No. We'll do them all as one. Any decisions have to be made when we come out.
Anyway, so.
Okay, so we're going
Include the
to,
same
so the
thing.
motion is to go into executive session to discuss an economic development loan and to do a bid review on
The
the assessor.
Okay.
So Danny made that motion.
I did.
Second it.
Lucian makes a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, let's do some executive session. Can we?
Thanks for coming late, leaving early, Doug.